Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have a lot to get into tonight, like Alex Nedeljkovic. What does this signing mean? We'll also get into Hard Knocks, coming to the Steelers for the first time ever. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Pirates, who wasted another outstanding effort today. Here's your panel talking about these subjects and more. We have Andrew Fillipponi, PM Team 93.7 The Fan. In the middle, it's Joe Starkey, the Joe Show, every day from 10 to 2. And then Will Graves, outstanding writer with the Associated Press, who will be on his way to Paris for the Olympics, and he's won awards for that coverage. So congratulations to you.
You won awards for
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
What kind
Two
of
of
award?
them.
Good at it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's good
All
at
right,
it.
congratulations.
All right, let's start with Bob Nutting spoke this week. Joe, I'll start with you on this one. So you listen to what he had to say. It sounds like he's a man of action. He wants offense. He's willing to do it, but he also couched, the future is still part of our plans. What did you make of his comments, and what do you think will happen because of them?
Well, first of all, I've never heard him talk baseball in the middle of a season before.
It's only because it was an advertising. He wouldn't have done it on his own, I don't think.
Oh, he easily could have avoided it, too, but obviously he wanted to make a point, and I thought it was very interesting and informative to me that he spoke, and I actually believe they will do something. It's not like they've never done anything. As my friend Andrew Fillipponi pointed out on the air, the last time the Pirates were in a race, they made the biggest trade in baseball at the deadline.
And they were in a worse situation then. They were 3.5 out of a one-game playoff.
I'm no defender of Bob Nutting. I think everybody in this town should know that by now. But it's not like they've never done anything to bring in players. I saw Justin Morneau walk into that dugout with Marlon Byrd, who was one of the best power hitters in the National League.
But you're going back 10 years
that
now.
year.
Again.
Okay, when they're in contention.
Okay.
Right? They brought in Jay Happ, which nobody thought was anything, but he turned out to be the best deadline acquisition.
Right.
So all I'm saying is let's not pretend that they've never done anything when they've needed help during seasons.
But what's it going to look like when they do? I guess that's a better question. What will it look like, Will, when they do? Will they make a massive deal?
I think they'll make incremental moves. I mean, let's not pretend that Justin Morneau was at his MVP level self when he got traded here. Marlon Byrd was in the last year of his deal, and he was good when he got here.
So what if
but
he
the
was in
Reds
the last year of
let's
his
remember
deal?
the Reds were like in the mix, and they basically gave the Pirates Marlon Byrd, right?
No, it was the Mets.
The Mets. I apologize.
And he was one of the best power hitters in the National League that year.
When he got to the Pittsburgh, he was great. But to me, Bob Nutting, his words mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing. They don't. He wouldn't have talked if they weren't doing it. It's not like he walked into he's at all the games. He didn't come into the press box and the whole court like
it was
Mark
an advertising deal.
No, but his PR people could have said only sponsorship questions.
Oh, trust me, they basically let him get about 3 minutes in, and then they shut it down. So they would. So
I thought he said a lot in 3 minutes. I mean, to me, he talked a big game. Now, whether he backs it up or not, he said 100% our goal is to make the playoffs.
Tony, this is the guy in 2019 that said our goal is to win the World Series, and in 2021 said our goal is to win the World Series, and they were one of the worst teams in baseball. So his words don't mean anything.
I'm the same way as Joe. I don't think we're starting a fan club, and I'm the president, and he's the vice president. But he also did sign Brian Reynolds and Mitch Keller to extensions.
And Hayes.
And one of the biggest things that people say here is, well, they're just drafting guys to go play for the Dodgers and the Yankees, and they bought out their best years. That's action, Will. That's not like murder the guy.
And where are they at? They're 38. They're 3 games under 500 in a terrible division.
So look,
they're where everybody else is.
So my point on that is, if they do nothing and they squander this great pitching and they let this opportunity pass them by, then it's open season on the guy.
Then we can
again.
rip him.
Yes.
Again.
Right.
Deservedly so. But in the meantime, I thought it was very significant. And don't read significant as they're definitely going to do something. He wanted that out there. He clearly, if you go to that thing, you're going to get asked about stuff. So you have an agenda to get it out there.
I didn't think he word salad answers. We get that from the GM all the time. I thought he actually gave legitimate quotes.
I mean, they can do this now. They don't have to wait until the trade deadline. Let me ask you guys this.
I wish they would.
But he brought that up too. He said, you don't have to wait until the deadline.
No, and that's why I said.
And then Ben Cherington said the next day
said.
Prices tend to go down the closer to the deadline.
I don't agree with that. I think if anything, there's a bidding war. You got all these teams. They're like 8 teams. They're all going to have.
I don't know. I got the sense that if the GM does not make those moves, he might be on the way out. That was one of the things I took away.
All right, let me ask you this now.
You don't think so?
No.
Joe, back to you on this one.
Wait a second.
Skenes and Jones.
No.
Yeah. We got some.
You have
We
your
got some
show
friction
tomorrow.
here.
We also, I know, but
right,
we
go
have
ahead.
time restraints.
I know. I'm
Unlike
in the
your
middle
show.
of this, Bob. I'm scared. Go ahead.
So, Skenes and Jones, let's say they're in it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And let's say their innings pitch goes up to a level that they're not comfortable with. What do you think the Pirates will do with those two young kids?
I don't think we're going to get to that. I think there's an innings limit that they're not telling us. But if they set themselves up to get in a Strasburg situation where it's the end of the season
And they shut them down.
and they shut those guys down, there's going to be pitchforks over there. What they're going to do is incrementally along the way. They have a number in mind already, and they'll make sure that at the end of the season they have enough innings left to get to those numbers. But you might see them, skip starts here and there to get there.
Which is fine.
Which you could argue is just as bad. Every game's important, beginning, middle, end, right?
I don't know if that's fine, Bob. I mean, we're ripping them to shreds when they bench
hey, listen,
Nick
they've been
Gonzalez
using-
for a day game after a night game.
Well, I
if they
thought that's
skip
a
Paul
legitimate-
Skenes in August or September
I'm saying
because
instead
they're
of
thinking big
giving
picture.
him instead of giving him 4 or 5 days, give him an extra day. That's all
I
I'm
thought
saying.
you
I'm
meant
not
skip
saying
a start.
No, I'm saying skip days.
Don't
In
you
other
think
words,
we will
They
see
did it.
that?
They did it this week. They literally did it this week.
With a bullpen.
And the rotation, if they had gone on their 4-day rest, Jones would have started Friday, and Skenes would have
Right,
started
that's what-
Saturday.
I'm
So
okay with
that's
that.
how they're searching for time
Right.
now.
And I'm okay with that because I think that's the way you should do it with them if you're going to have
There's going to be a story later this season.
certainly
I
there will
don't think you can get away with just an extra day here,
Well,
an
look,
extra
I
day
mean,
there.
don't you think this weekend we can get into how they lost these games and what it means? But if I'm going to take a silver lining from their weekend, they pushed Jones and Skenes in both games.
Yeah.
Right.
They both pitched in
But
the seventh.
Jones is getting up there. When you look at his innings last season, he's getting up there
124
already.
is the most he's ever pitched.
But
in
I
one
thought
season.
when he came off the mound in the 6th inning on Saturday, he was done. Now, we didn't know the Bednar situation, but still,
Right.
they pitched him
Yeah.
into the 7th inning. That's a good sign, I think.
All right, we got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about a signing that not a lot of people thought would happen, at least not now. But Alex Nedeljkovic is signed for 2 years. What does that mean for Tristan Jarry? What does it mean to Bloomquist, their young goaltender, on the rise? We'll talk about it next. All right, welcome back. We're talking about the Penguins, too. Signing this week, Alex Nedeljkovic, who played well last year, certainly, but he gets a 2-year, $5 million deal, 2.5 per, which makes you wonder what's going to happen moving forward. Andrew Fillipponi, you have Tristan Jarry. He has a 5-point-something yearly salary. They still believe in him, at least I think they do, but they also have Joel Bloomquist, a young kid who deserves an opportunity. How do you see it play out?
Okay, how do I see it playing out?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to have status quo, and I have a big issue with that.
Until when? At some point, that'll change.
This season?
Yeah, I think so.
So they're going to pay a guy, what, $2 million to go to the minor leagues?
No.
So then how does it
They're
change?
going to make a trade at some point of the series. In my view, they're
And
going to
who's getting traded? They signed Nedeljkovic to trade him?
No.
Bloomquist is getting traded.
No. Jarry. I think eventually they will. Maybe not now.
In
maybe.
season? Goalie trades in season are really hard to do, especially when the
I
guy's
think
got
by the
4
end
years.
of the year, because I think Bloomquist is good enough. Now you're asking, I shouldn't be. You answer the question. I interviewed
Look,
too much. I'm sorry.
I think they've got I think they've got $8 million a year invested in a goalie they got hot at the end of the year and another goalie who they paid to be a franchise guy who they don't trust. And that's a lot of in a crunch sport that's not going up like the NFL salary cap. That's a good chunk of money tied up in 2 guys, and I don't think either one of them, I don't see 1 and 1A. You can compete for a Stanley Cup with those 2. They were 31st and 32nd.
Did you think
save
Stuart
percentage last year.
Skinner was going to win a Stanley Cup? And he might.
The Penguins don't have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl
Okay, but I'm
in their
just saying,
prime,
the goalie
Bob.
was supposed to be a weak spot,
Well,
Joe. What do you
what's
say?
the point?
The point is, what do you think will happen with their goalie?
I
Now
think they're going to trade him. I think,
Jarry?
yeah, because I think Mike Sullivan has soured on Jarry.
They got to find
the way,
a keeper, though, for him, Joe. They got to find a home for him.
This is a goalie star of league. I mean, there are
Jacob
teams out
Markstrom
there.
just went to New Jersey.
There are
and he's-
teams out there that will trade for Jarry. They'll retain some
I hope
salary.
you're right, Joe.
Jarry is to Sully what Pickett was to Tomlin by the end. Once the guy that you'd go to the mat for, and then through his actions proved that he's not my guy anymore. Nedeljkovic started to slump down the stretch. Jarry was healthy, ready to go in the biggest games of the season, and he didn't play him. The same as Pickett last year. So I think now we know that Sully, I believe, would be willing to move on from Jarry, and that's the key.
But how
if
do you
he's willing
convince a team to take that guy?
Well, you need a taker.
There could be
He's
there's an
a pretty
injury.
good
Somebody
regular
gets
season
injured.
goalie, though. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like his numbers until
Is
he
he?
got his regular
He
season
tied
numbers
for
are
the
pretty
league
good.
lead in shutouts last
Right.
year.
So,
He's
I
got
mean,
a great
I think-
career record.
Right.
I don't like him, but I think some
And he's
team
modestly
would.
priced.
Plus,
I mean,
there's
like
injuries that
$5.5
occur.
million isn't a ton ton for a goalie.
And he's not even 30.
It's a modestly priced for a number one that is not, you're not breaking the bank if you're bringing Tristan Jarry. And maybe it might be a change of scenery.
If you don't know if a guy is going to be healthy or play well in the biggest games of the year, how do you describe him as a number one goalie?
I don't. But
who does?
all
the
it
Penguins
takes
do
is
because
one
they paid
team.
him like a number one goalie, and they
just,
rode him like a number
Joe's
one
point,
goalie.
they don't anymore. They clearly
They
don't view him as a number one goalie
They just brought
anymore.
in Jacob Markstrom, the Devils
first of
did,
all, do
who's
you believe-
older and has worse numbers than Jarry.
His biggest thing, he's 6'6".
So teams would be in the market for a guy like Jarry, is what I'm
I
saying.
hope you're right.
One of them will be
Let me
gone.
ask you
About one of them will be
something.
gone by
Do
the
any
trade
of you-
deadline.
Do
That's
any of you
my-
believe that Alex Nedeljkovic is a number one
No.
goalie? No.
Bloomquist has got to be the guy.
Bloomquist, that's my point. He will eventually force their action.
But if you go back to what Dubas said, his point was if he plays well in the American League playoffs, we'll know we have something, and he was terrible.
Well, what'd they play, 2 games?
I know. But I thought when he said that there was no chance Nedeljkovic was coming back. I thought that was the
I'm
writing
not
on the
that
wall for him.
surprised that Nedeljkovic is back. Maybe they don't think Bloomquist is ready. That could be
Yeah.
the
So
Do you
It's only
agree with me
2.5
if it's
million.
Jarry and Nedeljkovic, that's a dead end?
Well, I
You
mean,
can't
like
win with those two guys?
Yes.
But there are also like what 18 guys that play in front of those two guys, and like,
Yeah.
is that group any better than the group that they had last year? Probably not, right? So,
Yeah, but we're not asking about them. And you can improve that group by trading Jarry, theoretically.
I don't. But to me, it's one goes with the other, right? I mean, some goalies are products of the system.
Well, that's another thing why another team may say, look at the Penguins. Jarry must think they don't have enough guys on the ice the whole game. We'll surround him with a better system. He's
Right.
got numbers.
Correct.
Right.
We think we can make him
I
a
hope
much
you're
better
right.
goalie the way the
there are a lot
Bruins
of
did with
teams that would
Omar.
think
I hope
that. All
you're
right, let's
right.
talk about Game 7. We haven't had one like this, 3-0 series lead. All of a sudden, it's gone, and it's 3-3. My theory on this, Will, is that Florida used all their physicality and the way they play, took a toll on them. They went up 3-0, sure. But then all of a sudden, they weren't as physical. Edmonton's skills started to take over, and now we're 3-3. What do you think happens?
I think the Oilers are the better team, and the Oilers win. And I think all the pressure is on the Panthers right now.
It's almost too obvious. Who's favored in that game?
Florida.
Florida Panthers, who I
Wow.
like to win.
Yeah.
Wow, it's almost too obvious. The way that the Panthers looked at the end of that game, Game 6, the way the whole thing is trending, it looks like it actually could be a blowout in Game 7.
Right.
But like I said, it's almost too obvious
Bob,
to where I can feel Florida
I mean,
might
the
win.
fans down there, though, have precedent on their side. Remember last year, the Heat were up 3-0 on the Celtics.
Right.
Celtics came back,
Yeah.
forced a Game 7 in Boston, and the Heat, as the 8 seed, won. So all I'm saying is that
It helped that Jason Tatum sprained his ankle. If Connor McDavid gets hurt early in the game, then all bets are off.
no doubt. I also think, though, Florida gets the first goal. I think.
Yeah, I think first goal is huge. We always talk about it. It really is.
I look at it like this. Let's remember the Celtics mailed it in Game 4, right? And the Panthers mailed it in Game 4. But hockey is not basketball. Like home court in basketball is huge, and hockey it's whatever.
Plus, Sergei Bobrovsky
and what
is
happened is the Oilers got their mojo back, and like they've been clearly the better team the last 3 games, and even really parts of the first 3 they were superior.
And they've got
So I
the
think they're gonna
superstar.
win.
They've
and
got,
they
they've got
outscored
the
them
best player.
18-5 last 3 games. All right, now, MVP, Conn Smythe. I'm of the belief that it was Bobrovsky when they were up 3-0. And again, this is all tournament long. I'm not believing that no matter if they win or not tomorrow and he stands on his head. I think Connor McDavid is going to get it just because of what his work. Even in a losing effort. Did you agree with that, Joe?
Wow.
Well, he's
That
hugely
would be
favored to
something.
win it.
I know. That would be something. And
Who would you give it to?
I'm saying I would give it to him.
Okay, good.
I would.
I would not if Florida wins and Bobrovsky.
Who would you give it to?
Well, because we had Fleury and we had Murray, and they rode both of those guys, and players went in. I have respect for a goalie that wins all 16 games. He never came out.
If he winds up with 40, is he on? What's the record? How far is he
He's
off
like
the record?
4 away from, I
He's
think.
at 42 points.
All right, let's
and
put that
Gretzky
on
is
it then. If
47.
he gets the record
He's
and
gotta win it.
loses, he's
He's
got to
gotta
win
win
it.
Yeah.
But if he has 4 assists, then
Yeah,
lose
but
5-4.
But if Bobrovsky played like he did in Game 1.
Panthers winning a
Because it
shootout.
takes
Bob,
a historic performance
if he
to
has,
win it.
If he has like a 42 save shutout in Game 7 and the Panthers win 1-0, I think Bobrovsky should win
Okay,
it.
you agree?
Maybe you're right.
I'm a big believer in like the winning team should get the MVP in most cases because I think Connor's great, but it's like he's hardly the only guy out there.
Well, he had no points
Let's
in-
remember Game 6, Draisaitl was their
Right,
best
he had
player.
no points in
right?
Game 6. What if he has
He didn't
no
have a
points
shot
in
in
Game
Game
7,
6.
Joe?
He didn't have a shot in Game 6.
No, I got it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. If he has a great game in Game 7 and gets the record, then I'm giving it to him no matter what. Jerry West, who
By
just
the way,
passed away,
leading
won it
goal
as a
scorer in the
losing
Stanley
guy.
Cup Finals, Evan Rodriguez.
Evan Rodriguez has been terrific.
How about that
Go
stat?
figure that one. We got to take a break.
We'll never
When we come
forget the
back,
goal he scored for
we
the
got
Rangers
hard
in
knocks to
Game
talk about. The Steelers have never done it, and they will have to do it this year. We'll get into that and Justin Fields next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, welcome back. We're talking about Hard Knocks. Yeah, it's going to extend into the season. Starting December the 3rd, the AFC North will be under the microscope. So, Will, I want to get your take on this. Do you think the schedule was stacked deliberately to have all these AFC North games at the end of the year to accommodate Hard Knocks?
Pomp, when you mentioned that pre-show, I hadn't thought about it. I mean, the late in the season is traditionally, division heavy, but to be this late certainly seems like it's a made-for-TV event.
Absolutely.
And you like it, it looks like, in your eyes.
Do I like Hard Knocks or the fact that their schedule is loaded that way?
Well, either or.
I mean, it all depends on when quarterbacks get injured. Maybe there's a better chance late in the season they don't face Burrow or Jackson, but their
like last
schedule
year.
at the end, division plus Philly plus Kansas City, is a joke.
I like early, not loaded with early season division games, but it's an early measuring stick for where you're at compared to your rivals, and then you get a chance later in the season to see how much you've improved or gotten worse or gotten better. So I don't like them all jammed.
Clearly, it was stacked this way for the television
absolutely,
show.
Yeah.
All right,
Everything for the NFL schedule now is made for television.
Absolutely. Well, who will be the biggest star of the Steelers? Will it
Mike
be
Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin?
Mike Tomlin.
You
I
think
mean,
Mike Tomlin's going to raise
I
this?
have been on, when we have our little, training camp, dinner across the street at Nunzio's, like every year we talk about Hard Knocks. And I firmly believe that if people see the everyday Mike Tomlin, if he gives them the everyday Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, that's the question.
They're going to be enamored with him. I just really like to, if you're around him a lot and see him, but he says, look, he doesn't like Hard Knocks for two reasons. One, you have to suck to be on there until this thing came along primarily. And two, he doesn't like the way that they handle when guys get cut. He finds it disrespectful. Now, obviously, this is a different part of the season, so that part won't be part of the show. But I am fascinated to see how he comes off in this thing.
I think Najee might take a central role in this thing. I think he's going to be pretty good.
How about Pickens?
One way or another, Pickens will be a story at that point in the season. Let's put it that way.
And you? Who do you like? What emerging theatrical star will emerge from the Steelers?
Well, we're going to see a Russell Wilson that is not so artificial and not so, like when we get behind the scenes, is he going to let his guard down and not always be this toxic positivity guy that he's been labeled by people that were around him in Denver and Seattle?
All right, real quick, I want to ask you about Justin Fields. You've seen him over there, Will. We hear different reports. He's doing really well. He's not doing so well. He looks good. He doesn't. What is he?
What I noticed was he had the book on him before he got here is that sometimes it takes him a while to process information. And what I saw was Russell going like this, and what I saw was Justin going like this. That's what I saw.
Okay. It's early.
What do you want me to say to this, Bob? They're playing in their underwear over there. I have to see the guy.
Yeah, but people write about it all day long, and we get debates about it.
Well, then my take would be I believe none of it until I see the guy.
That's my
in
take,
a
and
game.
I'm glad to hear you say it. Do you agree?
Yeah, but I mean, it is disconcerting to hear that someone struggles processing and accuracy when the speed is about 100 times slower than it is in an actual NFL
Well, how do we
game.
know he's struggling processing? He's
Well,
not
ask
even
Will.
going.
He's
He's
the one
not
that
even
sees
going
holding on
against
to
the
the ball.
defense.
They did some 11-on-11 stuff, Joe.
In
And
underwear.
and you would see him. Russell would make quick decisions and get rid of the ball. And Justin, look, it's a new offense and it's a new system, and he's still younger. He's much younger in the league than Russell is. But he liked to tuck and.
Good. That's what he does
That's his best asset. It actually is.
Yeah,
He's in there.
man, it's a quarterback league. You need somebody that can get the ball down the field.
All right, we're due for a break. When we come back, we're going to ask this question. Should Paul Skenes be an all-star this year despite only 8 starts? That's next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. So the Pirates have a big week. They're off to Cincinnati, and then they have the Atlanta Braves after they dropped 2 of 3 to Tampa Bay. Pony, I want to ask you about this. Paul Skenes, only 8 starts, but he's somebody who should, I think, be in the all-star game. I know Jeff Passan talked about it today. Do you agree?
I do. I'm going to one-up you, though. I think he should start the All-Star game. I think he's You're nodding yes, Joe? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I steal your thunder? Was that going to be your point?
No. I'm not a talk show caller. You didn't steal my thunder.
No, I honestly think, do we need to see Ranger Suarez start an all-star game for the National League? He's been in the Phillies rotation for 3 or 4
really
years.
good.
No, he has. But this is the biggest pitching story in the entire sport. Let's see him go out there against the very best that the American League has to offer and see what he can do.
Yes, to all of that. It's a television show. Nobody cares about the game. The game's a joke. Everybody wants to see an Ohtani Mike Trout moment from the World Baseball. They want to see Skenes against Aaron Judge. If you could boil this game down to one moment that everybody in America who loves baseball wants to see, it's that.
I agree.
Right, I mean, look at the interest that we had when Skenes faced Ohtani, and now imagine doing that with the top, again, with the 3 or 4 top guys in the American League. And they need it. I've taken my kid to the game. My kid wanted, in 17, my kid wanted to leave early. He was 9 years old. They need juice in this game.
I don't think the Cy Young is out of the question. Valenzuela did it in 81 as a rookie. I don't think, if you look at the guys ahead of him in the ERA race, they're not bona fide, credible, every year all-star caliber players.
Yeah.
His numbers are terrific, 2.15 ERA. And we are talking about the Pirates. We'll do it again next Sunday, but not right now. I'd like to talk to you about inflation because it's everywhere. Prices are up, but not at number 1 Cochran Kia, because right now during their Kia Summer Sticker Sales event, get super low lease payments and limited time savings on number 1 Cochran best-selling models. From the Forte and the Seltos to the Sportage and the Telluride, they have an impressive selection available. Send inflation on a vacation and get your new ride at number 1 Cochran Kia or shop online at cochrankia.com. It's been fun. We are done. Thanks to these gentlemen right here. We'll do it again soon with you 3, hopefully. And in the meantime, have a good remainder of your Sunday. We'll see you next week right here on the number 1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Have a great week.